A big secret has come out. In September 2025, some important papers from Vietnam became public. These documents reveal a hidden plan between Vietnam and Russia. They show how these two countries have created a special way to buy and sell weapons. This method helps them to get around the rules or sanctions that the United States has put in place. The core of this plan involves their shared oil business. Vietnam and Russia work together to find and sell oil. The money earned from this joint business is then used to pay for military equipment. This clever system makes sure that the money stays between Vietnam and Russia without using international banks that the U.S. can monitor. This helps them avoid being punished by the U.S. for trading with Russia, especially because of Russia's ongoing conflict in Ukraine. This discovery comes at a very sensitive time for global politics. The world is facing many challenges, and countries are trying to find their place. The United States is working hard to build a stronger partnership with Vietnam. This is important for the U.S. to balance China's growing power in areas like the South China Sea. However, the U.S. is also taking strong actions against any country that gives support to Russia. A clear example of this is a recent action by the United States. President Donald Trump has placed a significant 50% tax on India. This large tariff was a direct consequence of India buying Russian oil and military supplies. This act shows that Washington is ready to penalize even its allies if they help Russia's war economy. Vietnam's newly revealed secret deal now puts its valuable partnership with the U.S. in great danger. The situation is complex and could have big effects. 2. A secret plan. The secret payment plan was very clever. Vietnam needed a way to buy weapons from Russia without the United States finding out. This was important because the U.S. had rules against helping Russia, especially after the war in Ukraine. So, a special three-step system was created. It was detailed in a memo from June 2024 by PetroVietnam, a large oil and gas company in Vietnam. This system aimed to keep all money movements hidden and within Vietnam and Russia, completely avoiding international banks. In the first step, profits from an oil company called Viet Petro were used. This company is a joint business between Russia and Vietnam. It operates in Siberia and makes a lot of money from oil. Vietnam's share of these profits did not come back home directly. Instead, this money went to Moscow, the capital of Russia. This payment was used to cover the cost of military weapons Vietnam had already bought from Russia. These weapons were bought on credit, meaning Vietnam owed Russia money for them. This first transfer looked like a normal business payment between two oil partners. But its true goal was to pay for fighter jets and other military equipment. Next, if there was any money left after paying for the weapons, it moved to another company. This extra money went to Zarubezhneft, which is Russia's state-owned oil and gas company. Zarubezhneft also has businesses in Vietnam. Sending money to this company added more steps to the process. This made the financial path harder to see and track. It helped to hide the real purpose of the money, adding another layer of secrecy to the entire operation. Finally, the money completed its journey back to Vietnam. Zarubezhneft used its businesses and partners inside Vietnam to make the last transfer. An equal amount of money was sent to Petro-Vietnam, but this time it happened completely within Vietnam's borders. No international banks were used. This meant the money did not cross any international financial systems that the U.S. could easily watch. This closed-loop system was very important. It helped Vietnam buy the weapons it needed while completely avoiding detection and possible sanctions from the United States. As a top official from Petro-Vietnam, Lê Ngoc Son said, "This way of paying was relatively confidential and appropriate." He noted it kept Vietnam safe from the risks of being affected by the U.S. embargo. This plan was key to Vietnam's ability to maintain its defense relationship with Russia. 3. Old friends, new guns. Vietnam and Russia have been old friends for a very long time, especially when it comes to military equipment. For many years, Vietnam bought almost all its weapons from Russia. Since the mid-1990s, Vietnam has spent about $9 billion on Russian arms. More recently, from 2000 to 2023, around 80% of all the weapons Vietnam imported came from Russia. This shows how deep their defense ties are. These weapons are crucial for Vietnam's national defense. The country has bought many different kinds of military gear from Russia. This includes powerful fighter jets like the Su-30 aircraft, which help control the skies. Vietnam also uses advanced submarines, such as the Kilo-class models, to protect its waters. Beyond these, Russian tanks, naval ships, and modern missile defense systems form the backbone of Vietnam's military. All this equipment helps Vietnam protect its land and sea borders, acting as a strong defense. It is especially important because of ongoing tensions and disagreements in the South China Sea, where these weapons help Vietnam maintain its security and deter potential aggression. However, a big change has happened because of Russia's war in Ukraine. Russia needs a lot of its own weapons for its ongoing conflict. Because of this, Russian factories are now very busy making equipment for their own military. This means Russia finds it much harder to produce new weapons for other countries, including its longtime friend Vietnam. Their ability to deliver new military systems is now greatly limited. This situation creates a difficult challenge for Vietnam. The country needs to keep its military strong and modern. Vietnam plans to invest a significant amount, about $46 billion in its defense between 2025 and 2029. But with Russia struggling to supply new systems, Vietnam must now look for other countries to buy weapons from. This search for new suppliers is not easy. Western countries, like the United States, have advanced military technology. Companies such as Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and BAE Systems showed their equipment at Vietnam's International Defense Expo in 2024. However, buying military systems from Western nations is often much more expensive. For instance, South Korea sold just 20 advanced self-propelled howitzers for $300 million. Such high costs make it very challenging for Vietnam to quickly reduce its cheaper Russian equipment. The long and established friendship with Russia, built on years of reliable and affordable weapon supplies, now faces new pressures as Vietnam tries to secure its future defense needs amidst global changes. 4. A dangerous game. Vietnam likes to be friends with many countries. This is called bamboo diplomacy. It means Vietnam can work with different big powers without choosing only one side. Vietnam has strong relationships with the United States, Russia, and China. This helps Vietnam protect its own interests and keep a good balance. But the secret deal with Russia for weapons makes this strategy hard. It puts Vietnam's friendship with the United States in great danger. Just recently, in September 2023, the United States and Vietnam agreed to be comprehensive strategic partners. This is Vietnam's highest level of diplomatic tie. It showed the U.S. thinks Vietnam is very important. The U.S. wants Vietnam to help balance China's growing power in the South China Sea. This partnership means working together on defense, technology, and trade. The United States is also one of Vietnam's biggest customers for its goods. However, the new secret deal for Russian weapons goes against U.S. rules. The United States has clear laws against countries that support Russia's military. President Donald Trump has already shown how serious the U.S. is about these rules. In August 2025, the U.S. put a big fee on India. This fee was a 50% tariff on goods from India. India had bought oil and military equipment from Russia. President Trump said this was not an easy thing to do, but it was necessary to send a message. He admitted it caused a rift with India. This action against India shows a big risk for Vietnam. The U.S. is ready to punish even its friends if they help Russia. Vietnam's economy depends a lot on selling products to the United States. If the U.S. punishes Vietnam with similar tariffs or other actions, it could cause big problems for Vietnam's economy and its people. This means Vietnam is playing a very dangerous game. The country must now decide if getting Russian weapons is more important than its valuable partnership with the United States and the economic problems that might follow. People around the world are watching to see what Vietnam will do next. 5. More than just oil. The energy connection between Russia and Vietnam goes very deep. It is much more than just the oil business mentioned before. Russia is helping Vietnam build nuclear power plants. This is important for Vietnam's future, as the country needs more energy. In 2025, both countries signed agreements for this nuclear power work. Russia's state company, Rosatom, offered to build VWER 1,200 reactor units. This partnership is worth billions of dollars and will continue for many decades. Vietnam has also started buying natural gas from Russia. The first delivery of liquefied natural gas, called LNG, arrived in mid-2025. This gas came from Russia's Sakhalin-2 project to Vietnam's new Cap Mep terminal. Buying this gas helps Vietnam meet its fast-growing energy needs for its economy and industries. Beyond buying gas, Russia and Vietnam are also working together to find and develop new gas fields in the sea. An important project is Block 11-2, located on Vietnam's continental shelf. During President Putin's visit to Hanoi in June 2024, a Russian state oil and gas company, Zarubezhneft, received a license to develop this offshore field. By April 2025, Zarubezhneft had already begun using 3D technology to map the area. This work in the sea is very important for several reasons. It brings economic benefits to Vietnam. It also helps Vietnam protect its claims over parts of the South China Sea, which are disputed. Russia's involvement in these sea projects shows its support for Vietnam against pressure from other countries. All these energy projects, nuclear power, natural gas, and new gas fields, make the economic and political relationship between Russia and Vietnam much stronger. It creates a very strong bond between the two nations. 6. The world is watching. The secret deal between Vietnam and Russia created a big stir around the world. Many countries watched closely to see what would happen next. This news came at a difficult time for international relations, making Vietnam's actions even more visible. The United States has laws to punish countries that trade with Russia's defense sector. One important law is called CAATSA, or the Countering America's Adversaries Through Sanctions Act. The U.S. Congress passed this law in 2017. The U.S. has used it before, for example, against Turkey for buying Russian missile systems. Until now, Vietnam had not faced these punishments, largely due to its strategic importance to the U.S. in Asia. In 2018, the U.S. Congress allowed some countries like India, Indonesia, and Vietnam to be free from CAATSA. But this was only if they showed they were buying fewer weapons from Russia. Vietnam's new secret deal, using oil money for arms, meant it might now break this rule. This put its special permission at great risk. President Donald Trump showed how serious the U.S. is about these sanctions. In August 2025, he put a 50% tax on India. This was because India bought oil and military equipment from Russia. This action by President Trump sent a strong message, showing Washington's willingness to punish even its friends if they helped Russia. He said this decision was not an easy thing to do. This precedent put Vietnam in a risky spot, facing possible tariffs that could hurt its economy. It was not only the U.S. that acted. The European Union also took steps. In May 2025, the European Union made its 17th sanctions package against Russia. For the first time, these new sanctions specifically included companies from Vietnam. This meant that the European Union clearly saw Vietnam helping Russia avoid sanctions. This action was a clear sign that Western countries were becoming more aware of the situation. They were increasing the pressure on Vietnam to stop its secret deals. The world was watching Vietnam's choices. These decisions would affect its future relationships with powerful countries. 7. A country divided. The secret plan for buying Russian weapons is causing big problems inside Vietnam's government. Not everyone agrees with it. Some officials are very worried. They fear that this secret deal will hurt Vietnam's important friendship with United States. They believe it could also damage the country's standing in the world. An official even leaked the secret documents to the news. This person said they were part of a group that did not want closer ties with Russia if it meant risking the growing relationship with Washington. This leak shows there is a deep split in Vietnam's leaders. They have different ideas about the best way for the country to move forward in the world. Some want to keep a strong link with Russia for military needs. Others want to build a better partnership with the U.S. for trade, technology, and global peace. This internal division creates a difficult path for Vietnam's future. This disagreement also affects Vietnam's role in Southeast Asia, especially within the ASEAN group. Other ASEAN member states are watching how Vietnam balances its relationships with major world powers. Vietnam's choice to work closely with both the U.S. and Russia could set an example for others. If Vietnam can find ways around sanctions to buy Russian weapons, other countries might consider similar methods. This could make Western sanctions against Russia weaker over time. Furthermore, the situation impacts Vietnam's plans for its own safety, particularly in the South China Sea. This sea area has many arguments over who owns parts of it. China is very strong there, and Vietnam faces pressure. Vietnam sees Russian weapons and training as key to protecting itself from possible threats. Having Russian military support helps Vietnam maintain its ability to defend itself against potential Chinese actions. It also signals to Beijing that Vietnam has options beyond depending only on China or Western countries for its security. The sophisticated way Vietnam designed this secret payment system suggests a long-term plan. The government believes that having modern Russian weapons and defense systems is very important for the country's security. They think this is more important than the possible money problems from U.S. sanctions. This way of thinking reflects Vietnam's assessment that military strength and the ability to stop threats are key in an uncertain region. This important decision is now creating a clear division within the nation's leadership about the right path forward. 8. What happens next? This secret arrangement makes many people think about the power of U.S. sanctions. It shows that these sanctions, which are meant to stop trade with certain countries, can be hard to enforce. Vietnam found a very clever way to keep buying weapons from Russia. This situation highlights how middle power countries like Vietnam can find smart methods to follow their own interests. They want to protect their country and economy, even if it means going against bigger nations' rules. Vietnam is taking a big risk with this deal. The United States has clear laws against helping Russia. President Donald Trump has shown he is ready to act firmly. He put a big fee, a 50% tariff, on India for buying oil and weapons from Russia. This action by the U.S. president sends a strong message to other nations. It clearly shows the danger Vietnam faces for its secret deal. But Vietnam believes that Russian weapons are vital for its security. These weapons help Vietnam protect its borders and its important waters in the South China Sea. Without this military equipment, Vietnam feels less safe and more open to threats. The outcome of this situation will have big effects on global politics. It will show how effective sanctions truly are in a world where many countries are powerful. The world is changing quickly. There are now several competing superpowers, not just one or two. The United States, Russia, and China are all very strong, and each has different goals and plans. Countries like Vietnam are often caught in the middle of these big powers. They must decide how to act in this new, complex world to keep their independence. Their choices show how countries try to keep their freedom and make their own decisions about their future. This event is a test for the international system. It will reveal if a country can successfully maintain important ties with one superpower while also trying to be friends with another. Other countries are watching closely to see what happens. They want to see if Vietnam can avoid serious problems from the U.S. without giving up its defense needs from Russia. The way this story unfolds will shape how other nations act in the future when facing similar pressures. It is a big challenge to the old ways of doing things and could change global power dynamics for a long time. What do you think will be the biggest challenge for Vietnam in the coming months?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.